One spring day when I was 20 years old, I was walking through a Goodwill thrift store with my baby boy in the shopping cart when we walked by a woman who had a baby boy in her shopping cart who looked to be about the same age as my son. So we start talking and we realized that our boys are only 4 days apart and we gave birth at the same hospital. And we joked that we could have high-fived at the door because she left the hospital the same day that I went into the hospital. And we talked for kind of a while. The woman was absolutely a hoot, but we eventually part company, never to see each other again, or so I thought. So a couple weeks later, I'm at work one day at my waitressing job that I've had for like 6 months when I'm taking a look at the floor chart and I see there's a new name on it. And I'm like, who is this? And someone's like, oh, that's this woman that used to work here. She had a baby and she's been on kind of a long maternity leave and now she's back. And I'm like, oh, cool, cool. So a couple minutes later, in walks my friend from Goodwill. We can't believe the coincidence. Like, this is absolutely nuts. We make plans to have a play date with our boys the following week. And within like 2 months, like this woman and her husband are basically family to me. And the funniest thing is that aside from our boys, we had absolutely nothing in common. I mean, this woman is 18 years older than me, and we have differing opinions on absolutely every subject you could possibly think of. I mean, different politics, different religions, different backgrounds. She's tall and tan. I'm short and pale. We had nothing in common. And somehow it just worked. So a year or two later, she moves to a different town about half an hour away. We still hung out pretty regularly, but it wasn't quite the same as when she lived like up the road. But a couple years later, through a set of completely random circumstances, I end up moving to that town too. And then a few years after that, she and her husband buy a house like out in the country. And she joked, well, after I moved to X town, you moved to X town a few years later. So I guess I'll see you here out in the country in a few years. And I was like, absolutely not. So a couple months ago, my husband and I started house shopping, and we were looking just in the same area that we already live in. And our realtor sends us a house, and we look at it. We absolutely love it. And we've already fallen in love with it before we realized that it's not in our town. It's a good ways out in the middle of nowhere. And we're like, no, we can't do that. But we're like, okay, let's just go look at it. And right now I am currently in the parking lot of a Goodwill thrift store because I have an SUV completely loaded full of stuff that I need to give away because we're about to move to a house that we just bought in the country, not far from my friend that I met that day in Goodwill. And for some reason, the universe just never wants me to be very far away from her.